Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again, digging into the sources you've sent our way to find those real gems of insight. Today, it's something I think, well, pretty much everyone wonders about in the toothpaste aisle. Is an electric toothbrush actually better? Or is it, just really good marketing? So our mission today is to cut through all that noise, look at the science, the real evidence, and figure out what the experts really say about keeping your teeth healthy. We want to give you that shortcut to, well, really knowing your stuff on this.
It's such a common question, isn't it? And yeah, it seems simple on the surface, but like a lot of things, the answer has layers. Some quite surprising ones, actually. Many of us just get kind of overwhelmed with all the choices, right? Oscillating, sonic, different heads. So this deep dive, it's not just about the electric toothbrush itself. It's also about uncovering some bigger truths about looking after your teeth long term. Things most people honestly don't think about.
Right, okay, let's get straight into it then. What do the actual numbers say? Do electric toothbrushes, really make a difference according to the studies? Does the science back it up?
Well, if you look purely at the statistics, the evidence we've reviewed is pretty clear. Yes, they do. Studies consistently show that using an electric toothbrush over the long haul is more effective than sticking with manual. And we're not talking tiny amounts. On average, the data suggests around a 20% reduction in plaque and maybe a 10% lower rate of gingivitis, and that gum inflammation, redness, bleeding. So yeah, for a lot of people, it offers a real measurable advantage in cleaning and gum health.
Okay, wow. 20% less plaque, 10% less gingivitis. That's actually pretty significant. Seems like a strong case. But, and this is where our sources really make a point, it gets more interesting, right? Despite those numbers, it's not like a magic wand for your mouth.
Exactly. That's a really crucial point. It's not a panacea. Think about it. You probably know someone, maybe a friend or relative, who's used a manual brush forever, sees the dentist, has good habits, and honestly, perfect teeth. Never had a cavity. But then you might also know someone else who's super diligent with their fancy electric brush every single day, but they still get cavities. Maybe they have a bit of a sweet tooth, or maybe their overall routine isn't quite there.
Precisely. So what that really highlights is that any toothbrush, electric or not, it's just a tool at the end of the day.
Oh, okay.
A potentially very good tool, yes. But how effective it is comes down to how you use it. And maybe even more importantly, your whole approach to looking after your mouth. Like having a great hammer, but trying to use it as a screwdriver.
That's a perfect analogy. It forces you to think bigger than just the stats. Focusing only on the brush type without considering habits, technique, the whole picture of oral hygiene, well, you'd be missing the most vital part. The tool is just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
That tool versus technique idea is key. And it leads nicely into another point from our sources that really flips a common assumption on its head. I know I used to think this way, and probably lots of listeners too, that losing teeth is just, well, part of getting old, like wrinkles or needing reading glasses. It just happens, right? But the research suggests that's really not the whole truth, not even close.
Yeah, that assumption is incredibly common, but it's also quite misleading, potentially damaging even. The real reason most people lose teeth, according to our sources, isn't just aging. It's the slow, steady, often unnoticed damage caused by bacteria in your mouth over a long time. Let's try and picture it. Healthy teeth, they're held tightly by your gums, right? And there's this tiny little groove, maybe only a millimeter or two deep between the tooth and the gum. Now, it doesn't matter if your teeth are perfectly straight or a bit crooked. It's super easy for tiny bits of food to get lodged in there.
And that's where the trouble starts brewing, quite literally. I remember reading that anecdote in the sources. It's so vivid, almost grim. They suggested, if you find a bit of food stuck from dinner the night before, maybe some meat fiber, pick it up the next morning and smell it. That really strong, kind of rancid smell, that's not just gross. It's the direct result of bacteria having a field day, a real warning sign.
Exactly right. And those bacteria, they're not just making bad smells, they're actually producing acids. And these acids attack the alveolar bone. This is the absolute key thing to understand. The alveolar bone is like the foundation holding your teeth in your jaw. It's what keeps them stable. So when that bone starts to erode, it's like the foundation of a house crumbling away. Your teeth get looser, they lose their support, and well, eventually they can fall out. And here's the kicker, the really critical part, that alveolar bone.
Yeah.
It doesn't grow back on its own.
Wow, hollowing out a foundation. That really paints a picture, and yeah, a bit scary. It highlights how permanent that damage can be. So the sources mentioned, if it's just one or two teeth affected, maybe they can do bone grafts, like patching the foundation. But if the erosion is everywhere, it's basically irreversible damage.
That's the situation, yes. Localized issues might have solutions, like reinforcing with artificial bone, but widespread loss of that foundation is incredibly difficult, often impossible to reverse naturally. And think about the historical context our sources bring up. In the past, maybe just a few generations ago, poor hygiene meant people often started losing teeth in their 30s or 40s. It was almost expected. Now compare that to today, especially in places with good dental care access and awareness. People are keeping their teeth healthy into their 80s, even 90s. That massive difference isn't genetics, it's knowledge, preventative habits, and seeing the dentist regularly.
So what this boils down to for everyone listening is dental health isn't something you can just ignore and hope for the best. It's about active, consistent maintenance. It really shifts the perspective from it's inevitable to it's largely preventable.
Absolutely. It's actually quite empowering. You have a lot more control over keeping your teeth for life than you might think.
Okay, so we've established the brush is a tool, maybe a very efficient one, but overall care is king. So then, what is the standout benefit of an electric toothbrush? Our sources seem to really zero in on efficiency and consistency, which, let's face it, most of us need help with in our busy lives.
That's exactly right. The gold standard technique dentists talk about is often the Bass method. It works really well, but it takes time and focus. We're talking at least 3 minutes. And you have to carefully angle the bristles right into that little groove between the tooth and gum, cleaning out the plaque right at the gum line. It needs concentration. But here's the reality check from our sources. Most people, they brush for less than a minute. Seriously. We're rushed, our minds wander. We just don't hit that 3-minute target needed for a manual brush to be truly effective.
Ah, okay, so that's where the electric toothbrush really steps up. It's like a shortcut to better results. It
Yes.
basically takes that 3-minute job and does it effectively in 2 minutes, maybe even less, because the brush itself is doing so much work.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It boosts your efficiency hugely. The fast, consistent movements, whether oscillating or sonic, cover more ground and clean more thoroughly in less time than most people manage manually, especially when half asleep in the morning. And it's not just the speed. Many electric brushes have these really practical features built in that tackle those exact problems we talked about. Like, almost all of them now have timers. They buzz or vibrate every 30 seconds. That tells you to move to the next section of your mouth, top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. So it guarantees you brush for the full 2 minutes, usually, and cover all the areas more evenly.
That's actually brilliant. Those little nudges make such a difference in forming habits, don't they? Even if you're not consciously thinking Bass method,
Mhm.
it's like a mini coach in your hand.
It really is. And the sources mention a friend, someone who always rushed brushing. Now, with the timer, he actually brushes for the full time and says his teeth feel way cleaner than they ever did manually. He's getting a better clean more consistently. Plus, many have pressure sensors too, which is great. They warn you if you're pushing too hard, that can damage your gums and wear down enamel over time. Some even link up to apps on your phone now. They show you where you've brushed, where you missed, how long you spent. Turns it into a bit of a data game, less of a chore.
That feedback loop sounds genuinely useful.
Hmm.
And yeah, there are so many brands now, Philips, Braun, Oral-B, Xiaomi Sukas too. Lots of choice, different features, different types of movement, different prices. The sources basically say you tend to get what you pay for in terms of features and quality. And they also mentioned, thinking about it, an electric toothbrush makes a pretty decent gift, doesn't it? Practical actually helps someone's health. Better than, say, some vague supplement.
Definitely. It's a tangible investment in someone's daily well-being, a tool that helps build those good preventative habits.
Okay, so clearly a great tool, maybe even a smart investment. But we need to round this out. Our deep dive showed it's just one piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole strategy for keeping your teeth long term. So what else is absolutely crucial? What else do we need to be doing?
Right. This is where the sources really emphasize the bigger picture. They basically say, look, the specific brush isn't really important if you neglect everything else. So what else? Well, number one, without a doubt, regular dental checkups, ideally every 6 months. These aren't just for fixing things when they hurt. They're for prevention, catching problems super early, getting advice.
Yeah, and that idea of having a familiar dentist makes so much sense. Like your regular hairdresser, someone who knows your history.
Exactly that. Continuity of care is huge. And tied into that are professional cleanings. Again, every 6 months or maybe yearly. Think of it like getting your car serviced. You can drive it well, but it still needs that proper maintenance. The hygienist removes that hardened plaque tartar that no amount of brushing, electric or manual, can shift. Plus polishing, maybe fluoride. And then the other big one, daily flossing. Or using those little interdental brushes. After meals is ideal. Brushing gets the surfaces, but flossing is how you clean between the teeth. That's where food gets trapped, where bacteria hide, where gum problems often start.
So it really comes down to building these habits, doing them consistently, day after day, year after year. It's not just knowing this stuff. It's actually putting it into practice. It's a long-term commitment, isn't it? All right. We've definitely covered a lot today, from those stats showing electric brushes do have an edge to why efficiency matters so much, all the way to understanding that tooth loss isn't inevitable aging, but about bacterial damage to that crucial bone. And finally, seeing that the brush, however good, is part of a much bigger picture of care. It seems really clear that while good tools help, it's the consistent overall care, the habits, the professional visits, that truly makes the difference for life.
Absolutely. And maybe to leave you with the final thought, if we accept that this alveolar bone, this foundation, doesn't regenerate, and we know that most tooth loss is preventable with the right effort, well, what does that really mean for how you value, prioritize, and frankly, invest in your oral health? Not just for next week, but for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Perhaps the most powerful tools for lifelong dental health aren't just the gadgets in our bathroom, but actually our disciplined habits and those regular check-ins with professionals we trust.